Cameron Hayes stood beneath the towering arches of the Zephyrian royal palace, feeling smaller than he ever had in his life. The crystalline walls shimmered with living light, pulsing softly in shades of blue and violet, as if the palace itself were breathing. Every surface reflected alien elegance, nothing was built, everything was grown. Cameron tightened his grip on the diplomatic data slate in his hands, grounding himself in the familiar weight of responsibility. He was the youngest human diplomat ever sent beyond Earth, chosen not for seniority but for adaptability. Humanity had waited generations for this moment, its first true alliance beyond the Galactic Federation. And now, Cameron alone carried that hope into the heart of an alien empire. The Zephyrian guards lining the corridor were impossible to ignore. Towering, multi-limbed beings with iridescent exoskeletons, their compound eyes followed his every movement with unsettling precision. Cameron had trained for 6 months, memorizing protocols, practicing the 73 formal greetings required to address Zephyrian royalty. One mistake could end negotiations before they began. At the center of the throne room sat Queen Zerona. Her throne appeared grown from crystal and light, rising organically from the palace floor. Draped in robes that shifted like liquid starlight, she radiated an authority that was both beautiful and terrifying. Her face bore a humanoid symmetry, but her eyes, deep and luminous, felt ancient, as if they had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Cameron bowed exactly as instructed, holding the position for 7 heartbeats. The silence that followed was absolute. Hundreds of Zephyrian nobles and courtiers watched without expression, their thoughts unreadable. Ambassador Cameron Hayes of Earth, the Queen's voice echoed, resonating through the chamber as the translator implanted behind Cameron's ear converted it instantly. "You come seeking unity." "Yes, Your Majesty," Cameron replied, surprised by the steadiness of his voice. "Earth extends its hand in friendship." He never finished the sentence. A sudden blur of motion erupted from behind the throne. A small figure raced forward with impossible speed. Before Cameron could react, a child collided with him, small arms wrapping tightly around his waist. The palace froze. Not metaphorically, literally. Guards halted mid-motion, weapons suspended in the air. Courtiers stood frozen with mouths half open. Even Queen Zerona remained motionless, her pupils dilating in pure shock. Cameron stood frozen as well, his heart pounding as the child pressed her face against his ceremonial jacket. The future of interstellar diplomacy had just been thrown into chaos. Cameron barely dared to breathe. Every instinct told him that this moment, this unexpected contact, could doom Earth's hopes among the stars. Yet the small alien clinging to him felt neither hostile nor afraid. She held him with certainty, as though this embrace was long overdue. "Luna," Queen Zerona's voice shattered the paralysis, raw with emotion. She rose from her throne, her composure visibly fractured. "Release the ambassador immediately." But the child only tightened her grip. "No," Luna said softly, her voice carrying through the stunned chamber. "I know him." Whispers rippled through the nobles like a sudden wind through crystal spires. Cameron's mind raced. He had studied every known Zephyrian cultural law. Nowhere, absolutely nowhere, had there been a mention of royal physical contact, let alone initiated by a princess. Queen Zerona descended the steps with fluid grace, tension etched into every line of her posture. The guards finally lowered their weapons, though none relaxed. She knelt beside her daughter, her voice gentler now. "Luna, you have never met this human. You must explain yourself." Luna finally looked up at Cameron, her luminescent eyes bright with joy. "I have met him, Mother. In my dreams. He tells me about Earth. About blue oceans, green forests, rain, and animals called dogs." Cameron's blood ran cold. Slowly, carefully, he spoke. "Your Majesty. I've been having dreams too." The throne room fell silent again, this time charged with something new. "For 3 months, Cameron continued, I've dreamed of a little girl who asks me questions about Earth. I thought it was stress. My imagination preparing me for this mission. He swallowed hard. But she looks exactly like your daughter. Queen Zerona's expression changed completely. Wonder, fear, and something dangerously close to hope flickered across her features. The resonance, she whispered. The ancient text spoke of it. A psychic bond across vast distances, forming only between souls destined to change history. Cameron stared at her. Change, how? The queen placed a trembling hand on Luna's shoulder. My daughter has chosen you, not as a diplomat, but as a bridge between worlds. Luna tugged gently on Cameron's hand. Can we really be friends? Cameron looked around the chamber. The nobles no longer watched with suspicion. They watched with reverence. Yes, he said softly. I would be honored. The moment Cameron knelt to Luna's level, the tension in the throne room dissolved. He smiled, not as an ambassador, but as a human. Luna responded instantly, wrapping her arms around his neck with pure, uncomplicated joy. This time, the palace did not freeze. It erupted. Crystalline walls pulsed with warm golden light, responding to the emotional resonance of the assembled Zephyrians. Courtiers cried out in celebration, their voices harmonizing with the living architecture. The palace itself seemed to rejoice. Queen Zerona watched, tears glistening in her galaxy-deep eyes. For generations, Zephyria had governed by protocol, tradition, and psychic lineage. But this moment, this connection, transcended all of it. The resonance was more than myth. It was proof that destiny could cross species, stars, and civilizations. Cameron rose slowly, still holding Luna's hand. He faced the queen, no longer reciting prepared statements or memorized greetings. Your Majesty, he said honestly, I didn't come here expecting this. But I promise you, Earth values connection as much as power. If Luna trusts me, I will not betray that trust. Queen Zerona stepped forward. For the first time, her posture was not regal, it was maternal. Then know this, Cameron Hayes. Today, you did not secure an alliance. You became family. The words echoed through the chamber. In that instant, Earth's status among the stars changed forever. The celebration continued long after formal proceedings were abandoned. Zephyrian nobles approached Cameron not with suspicion, but curiosity. They saw him not as a fragile outsider, but as someone chosen by their future queen. Later, as the palace lights dimmed and Luna finally released his hand, Cameron understood something profound. Diplomacy was not always about negotiation or power balance. Sometimes, the universe decided on its own terms, through dreams, resonance, and a child's trust. As Cameron prepared to leave the throne room, Luna walked beside him, her small hand still holding his. The image spread across Zephyrian space within hours, a human and a princess, united not by treaty, but by connection. Queen Zerona addressed the court one final time. Let it be recorded that this day marks the beginning of unity between Zephyria and Earth. Not born of fear. Not born of advantage. But born of trust. The nobles bowed, not to Cameron, but to the bond itself. Later, alone at last, Cameron reflected on the impossible path that had brought him here. Humanity had always been underestimated, too emotional, too young, too divided. But that same emotional depth was its strength. Humans connected where others calculated. They adapted where others followed tradition. Earth was not a conqueror civilization. It was a relational one. And that made it dangerous in a way no fleet ever could. As Cameron departed the palace, Queen Zerona watched from the crystalline balcony. The universe has chosen wisely, she murmured. A species born of struggle, guided by empathy. The alliance forged that day would reshape galactic politics, not through domination, but cooperation. Trade followed. Knowledge flowed. Cultural exchange flourished. But history would remember only one thing. The moment everything changed was not a speech. Not a contract. Not a display of power. It was a hug.